So I'm here with Darren Andis Jones. Darren Andis Jones is a chief educator for the Andis Clipper Company. Darren is also a barber, and there is a lot more to Darren that we're about to find out. So Darren, as you know, I have a standard question. Where is it you started in barbering, and what was your inspiration and motivation to become a barber from the very beginning?
Started in 1988, 89 as the youth training scheme, which was known as a YTS, doing a 3-year apprenticeship, or 2 years training, and you're allowed to do a 1-year extension to be an apprentice. Basically, I'd always been into hair. Didn't really want to do anything else. Even as a kid, at Christmas I got one of them Play-Doh things. You know, you put the Play-Doh in, you push the thing down, you cut the Play-Doh, the hair. Mum will probably kill me for saying that, but yeah, she got me that. I think that's where it all started from, and it seemed quite trendy. Just wanted to be a trendy kid.
Okay, so your first entry, did you study? Did you do some form of education?
Yeah, I did. The company that I worked for was a company called Reflections. It was a huge company, one of the biggest in the country at the time, and they had lots of salons all through the country. And what you did one day in a salon, 3 days in a college, and then after a few months of an introduction with the YTS, you did 4 days in salon and 1 year at the college. But it wasn't a college as such. You did your training in the salon where you would be based at, so you was working and training with the people that you're going to be associated with.
Okay, so when you say salon, that was when you was actually a hairdresser, is that right?
Yeah. Started off in ladies hairdressing. Barbering wasn't a thing to me. It was just you trained to be a hairdresser, and that was that.
And what style? Because it wasn't Caucasian hairdressing you was doing, it was actually Afro-Caribbean hairdressing.
Yeah, it was Afro hairdressing. Come from a background, Birmingham's very multicultural. Have come from a family that have Afro hair. And it was the trials and tribulations of hearing people trying to get their hair done because it was different, you know. Everyone just had an afro and that was it. There wasn't really any chemical process to mess around with the hair. It was just an afro, no short back and sides, nothing, no shape-ups, no line-ups, no patterns. But yet, you know, evolution.
So tell me some of the stuff that you was actually doing with the Afro-Caribbean hair, because this would be quite enlightening to some of the people watching this.
Yeah, well, again, everything was just based around an afro. You just trimmed an afro and that was it. And then influence again from America, the TV programs, talk show hosts, Oprah, etc. People realised there was more to afros than just being an afro. People that had an afro wanted European hair or European look. So chemical straightening came in, chemical perming and so forth, and it went on from there.
Yeah, that was quite interesting because you actually triggered something in my mind that I had actually forgotten about, because from the age of 14 to 15 and a half, as I told you, I worked on a market stall actually selling all the straightening products and the perm products and the weave on here. So you actually brought something back, and we was having the conversation about the different products and manufacturers.
Yeah.
Okay. So also a little after you was doing Afro-Caribbean hair as a hairdresser, you was actually a qualified dermatologist and trichologist.
Yeah, I sort of like fell out of love with the industry. Even though Birmingham's a multicultural place, Afro hairdressers as a whole, you needed to be in certain postal areas. I wasn't able to get to them areas, so I think I was falling out of love with the industry. I found the science of hair and skin more interesting than actually just dealing with the hair itself. So I did my research, went to a dermatologist and asked them whether they had any apprentices, and they mentioned this youth training scheme. So I did a MVQ sitting girls level 1 and 2 at the clinic, and my love of the hair and skin went from there.
Okay. And the irony of it was that same dermatologist clinic that you was working in was actually your re-entry back into hair, but as a barber.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah, the clinic got bigger and better, as people wanted a male grooming, female grooming, female beauty and everything was getting bigger and bigger, so was the dermatology and the trichology. People wanted to experiment more into the science of the hair and skin, and his clinic got bigger, and he had to move. That's probably why I'm here today, because beneath the clinic was a barber shop, and I spoke to them about, what do they think I should do, and they says, well, you're a qualified hairdresser, surely you know how to do men's hair. And I says, I do know how to do it, but it's limited. I didn't really you didn't really use clippers. You did a 1, 2, 3 and a 4 with the scissors, and that was it. So they introduced me to the clipper game, which I'd messed around with before, just urbanly, with friends and family. But doing it professionally is a totally different level. And yeah, I didn't do any formal qualification with them, simply because you couldn't then. You'd be trained to be a hairdresser, which included barbering, which really wasn't barbering. It was just dressing the hair. But I stayed there for some time. Yeah, really enjoyed myself.
Okay, so you've gone, right from the very beginning. You was doing Afro-Caribbean hairdressing. Talk me through some of the styles you're kind of specialising in right now in May 2016.
Is that the days? Mainly just I like doing restyle work. I still enjoy the aspect of doing long hair, but moving with the current times, you don't really get to do a lot of it, because that isn't a current trend. The current trend is you just take it down to the wood on the back and sides, but it's got to be blended in correctly. The aspect of blow drying, I've always liked that. Introduced that from a hairdressing background. I didn't really think I'd introduce it from a hairdressing background. It's just always been there. So being able to create a tussled, textured cut on the top, but creating a nice fade on the back and sides, it ticks all the boxes now. Whereby, when I was doing short afro work, clippering, it was just short back and sides, brush down, line up, taking maybe some of the curl out. But now even with afro hair, a lot of guys are growing a top, playing around with it, a bit like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's all coming back. Flat top.
High flat top.
Yeah, high flat top. Maybe a line or a pattern. I mean, patterns now, look what, over on Instagram, it's everywhere, America and the UK. And yeah, so current things I'm doing at the moment is mainly take it down to the wood, blend it in, finish it off with a cutthroat, trim the top, blow dry it.
Darren's thing right now.
That's my thing at the moment, yeah.
Okay. So at the beginning, I introduced you as an Andis educator. I mean, this is quite a big gig. You have to go through, quite a lot of auditions and so forth in order to get this gig, and you have to be of a very high pedigree in order to get that. Tell me how you actually got this gig, because obviously a lot of people are looking at you and would like to know how you get ambassador gigs, educator gigs with companies such as Andis.
I just got it solely on looks. Nothing else. They seen a picture of me and just thought, he's the man. No, I got speaking to the international director, and they asked me if I wanted to go for an interview. They seen some of my work, stayed in contact through email. So I went for an interview, spoke about clippers, modern styles, difference between UK and American styles, the use of combs in cooperation with clippers, depth of cuts. Got this big thing about light deflection, about utilising light with work. They found it interesting, and I had my interview as an Andis educator. It was this time last year, okay, at Barber UK, and I got told I got the job. So yeah, 12 months later, a lot's moved on since in 12 months. But yeah, I'm really happy. My career has excelled with it, just from being eager and someone spotting my work, and so yeah.
Okay, and talk me through what your role consists of. What is, what do you actually do as an Andis educator?
Okay, it's
where do you go?
Yeah, well, first of all, you've got to know your products. So again, clippering has always been a major part of my hairdressing career. Knowing what clippers do, what depth they cut, And years ago, you just had one set of clippers. That was it. Now you got all kinds of clippers. You know, bulk cutting, heavy duty, corded, cordless, normal battery, lithium-ion battery. You know, pivot, rotary, magnetic driven. I could go on all day about clippers.
Tiny ones, what are called trimmers.
Yeah, exactly. So it's they like the aspects of my knowledge. So they'll give me dates. They say, you know, are you interested in performing or doing stage work or presentation work, education work? Mainly big events, Pro Hair Live, Salon International, Barber UK or Hair UK. I've done them all, which is nice. But again, it's a short space of time. My career as an Andis educator is still in its infancy. I think I'm in 12 months, but you know, I'm enjoying it, and they look after me, and I look after them.
So tell me about your style on stage. I mean, you've got like the likes of Kieran and Baldy. They're kind of like a Kieran and Baldy. They've got like a double act. We're in the barber shop kind of style. What's your style?
Yeah, mine's. I haven't really got any style. I mean, Kieran and Baldy. I'm joking, by the way. I love you guys. Nah, it's. I just like to be myself. You know, I just like to stay humble, speak to people, especially when I'm educating. I don't want to go back to like speaking to them like I'm demonstrating something off an A-board. You know, saying this is the way you do it. I always work with 3 major points, which is recession, parietal ridge, temple, and occipital, and utilising them major factors on cutting hair and blending hair in. But yeah, I haven't really got a style, just a relaxed style. You know, I like to keep things modern. And again, I'd like to utilise head shape and facial framing into the mix as well.
Okay. And you also do kind of like an educational stroke social gig with Gary at the Great Beaches Barber Bash. Tell me a bit about what you do with Gary.
Again, it was round about this time last year. I spoke to Gary on the internet, Facebook or Twitter. I can't remember which one, but we exchanged numbers and we spoke. And he says, you know, we got to grab a coffee. So I was at Barber UK and gave me a little wave, cheeky wave, went over, said hello and had a coffee and talked about this, something that he wanted to set up, and he wanted me to be part of it, which was quite nice. I think that's when I first met you at was it Southport?
Southport, yeah.
I was actually sitting next to you.
Yeah, that's right, the first ever show.
And I came back from there and I says to the missus, I says, I think I'd like to be a part of this which is going on. It seems fresh, because all I knew from a hairdressing background was Black Hair and Beauty Fair at the time, which was very small, and European hair shows that was going on, mainly based just on a female level. You know, you got guys there, but there wasn't really anything. Barbering's trendy now. You know, I was a barber before it was trendy, but yeah, Gary had a look at things that was slightly out of the box. You know, making it young and trendy and hip. You know, which is I think over the last 12 months, the Great British Barber Bash has.
Okay, and tell me your thoughts on social media, because by your own admission, you're not into all this fame and celebrity kind of thing. So what, you know?
It's a great way to get your platform going, as long as you do it correctly. I don't like all these people like slagging other barbers off, being bitter, being members of so-called groups and belittling and making fun out of young barbers that are just seeking some advice. And yeah, people say, you know, you put your picture up and you know you're ready to be put down, you're ready to be shut down. I didn't know how to cut hair when I started, and neither did the people that are slagging these people off. And they probably don't even know themselves, because they certainly don't post pictures of their own work, too busy slagging other people off. I just think they're my thoughts on social media. You know, use it to platform yourself. Just be a friend of everyone else. Just be happy. Not, you know, be humble. you know, don't think you're some big shot. You know, there's always someone bigger than yourself. It's like I'm just a barber. I'm just a barber that uses social media to increase my status as a barber, to get work. You know, I don't like people that use social media in a negative way. If you're going to use it in a positive way. If you're going to use it in a negative way, then, you know. But so be it. I mean, you're open to criticism, aren't you? You put yourself out there, you're going to get shut down, you know. But don't be a bully. There's no place in barbering for bullies, you know.
Okay. You said you use it to get work, and by the same token, you said you're not really into it. And how you're booked up? You told me right up until next year. Is that right?
November, every Sunday till November. This is I do my own workshops. Workshops that aren't catered for other companies that I'm linked with, especially with Afro hair. Not many people want to, I wouldn't say people want to touch it, but with my own workshops I've just started to introduce more and more dates for Afro hair. It's all right doing it in certain parts of the country, but in Birmingham, as I says, because it's so multicultural, there's a high intake of Afro hair. So where I'm doing European hair on other workshops and in other seminars, they may not be introducing Afro workshops in their domain. So I've brought that in, and I mean I'm booked up now.
You're nice.
I'm booked up a lot. Yeah.
Okay, so you know, obviously a lot of the barbers that are watching this would primarily go to a Caucasian kind of workshop. So you would obviously attract a Caucasian person or Caucasian cutter that would want to do the crossover to Afro-Caribbean hair. Tell me what they could expect when they come on one of your workshops.
A very relaxed approach. Hair is hair. You're the tailor. The hair's the fabric. There's no difference. If you want to cut a bit of leather, use a pair of scissors. If you want to cut a bit of cotton, use a pair of scissors. It's the approach and technique. If you've got approach and technique and the tools correct and you use them, them three in the correct order, you can produce anything. I think what it is with Afro hair, a lot of people have the fear of the unknown because they're working in an environment where perhaps they don't get the chance of. I'll give you an example. I was in Dumfries and I was speaking to a woman and she says to me, I've never even touched Afro hair. To me it's not hard to believe. She works in the environment where she is. But for somebody that wants to get into Afro hair and never even touched it, no wonder some people fear it. Black guy comes in the shop, or a guy comes in the shop with Afro hair, sorry, we don't do your hair. The guy's gutted. Do you know what I mean? You're turning money away. So why not, extend your portfolio and just think, I want to get into Afro hair? Because it isn't all black people that got Afro hair. There's some European Caucasian guys that come in and they got curly hair. What do you do? Sorry, we don't do your hair.
Yeah, in Jamaica we call them dundus.
Yeah, dundus. Yeah, same thing.
Okay, so tell me, because the reason probably these guys don't understand Afro hair is because they don't know what the texture is and what the difference is. What's the differences between a curly Caucasian hair and Afro hair, just as a simplistic approach?
The reason why Afro-Caribbean hair is curly is less water retention and it's a thinner base of the medulla. Sometimes it's not present either. And it's the approach of the clipper. We always, with European hair, if the hair's like this, we're going with the clippers like that. So we're cutting the hair. But if the hair is growing down and up, like Afro hair, or in a bean shape or a S shape, to cut these bits, you got to go down. And to cut them bits, you go up. So, and if it's like that, and like that, you like the diagram, you've got to go in different directions. And if you've never cut hair in different directions before, and you've only stuck to that one technique, again, it's technique. You use the correct technique, you get the desired effect.
Okay, so you're not around, someone has an Afro-Caribbean haircut coming, what would be your 4-step process to giving an okay cut?
An okay cut.
An okay cut. You're not around to help them. What's the
Okay.
4-step process?
First of all, the okay part, the okay bit. Okay, 4-step, Larry. Thank you. Be honest with the person that you're cutting. Just say, you know, for a start off, I'm not accustomed to curly hair, so you know that's the first step.
Step number 1.
Yeah. Second step is choice of tool. It's pointless using, I would say, a magnetic driven clipper, because you need more power, less cutting speed. So I'd choose a pivot clipper. Plus with pivot clippers, the teeth are a lot wider, so anything that's going to fall in there is going to go. That's step 2. Okay. Step 3 is approach. So if they have afro hair, full afro hair, you need to comb it out. So comb cut, that's what I always do, especially with afro hair. So that's step 3. Step 4 is finish. Make sure that you do everything in accordance to step 4, 3 and 2, or 1, 2 and 3.
Okay.
So yeah, and always check your lines, or always check, it's always finishing. I always say the best part of the haircut is the last 5 minutes, because that's when you see the transition of what it was to what it is. So always make sure your hairlines are clean, hairlines neat. Oh, by the way, not every hairline has to be altered with the blade. Okay. So yeah, they're my 4 steps.
And just one last question that I think might be helpful, even though I'm not a barber. When the Afro-Caribbean hair is low, is the fade process the same as Caucasian hair?
That's a good question.
And I'm not a barber.
Okay. It all depends on the lightness and darkness of the scalp, because we all know that if someone has on a European level or Caucasian level, I'm not perfect. Do you know what I mean? We all make mistakes. I'm not just going to sit here and go on that, you know, I'm fantastic, because I ain't. I do good cuts, and on the off day, we all have our off days. Answering your question, if someone's got a very pale scalp, almost grey skin, and very dark hair, and they ask for a skin fade, every discrepancy is going to show up. So you need to be on your game. A lot of people will start their fade high and work low because they don't want to chase lines. Now, if somebody comes in with a very dark scalp and dark hair, because afro hair is predominantly dark, even if the fade isn't 100%, it's still a fade. So
if you see a grey pasty guy, run for the hills.
Depends how experienced you are. Yeah,
experience.
Yeah, with that experience. Yeah, it's probably, say, in my mind, probably the hardest fade to do. Real pale skin, dark hair, with fine, and it's fine. Killer. Yeah.
Okay, so talking about experience, you've got over 20 years experience. What would you define as your one greatest moment in barbering in that time, if you could?
It would probably be, it'll be educating. It would probably be, I worked at one place and we worked with a charity teaching disadvantaged and mentally challenged people into a working environment. So it was probably teaching them how to not just cut hair, but how to interact with other people. So that's probably my defining moment. It doesn't sound very glamorous or up there, but it wasn't just teaching an able-bodied person of mind and soul how to do something that they should get like that, because it's frustrating sometimes when you, as an educator, you do get that. You show people things and you just think, well, why can't you do it? But when you're teaching people that are mentally challenged anyway, and you see a result from it, it's humbling. So yeah, that's probably my biggest achievement.
No, I can understand why that's the case, because probably someone of that ability feels like they're hopeless in life. So if you see them learning an actual skill, and then you must see the change in their body language as a result of, actually, I've got something here, I can actually go and make a living and not be made fun of.
Yeah, it's probably their step into society as well. You're helping them. You can help them go out of either sheltered accommodation or wherever they are into fending for themselves, because it's a big bad world out there, and earning your own money is better than getting money and being subjected to a certain amount that you get paid off authorities or government-based companies. Or packing shelves, thinking that that's all you can do for a living, but you got no skill. That's degrading,
In closing, Darren, obviously, because you've got a wealth of information as an educator, as you said, your greatest moment was helping the person with disabilities to find a trade that they've got. Now, giving advice to able bodies or able people, what would be your advice to a young 22-year-old watching this, wanting to up his game and make a great profession and life out of barbering?
Use social media, because you ain't gonna get anywhere. It's probably the wrong thing to say. I've been in the industry 27 years. I've just been a barber working in barbershops for a very long time, until social media come along. It's made easier with social media, so my advice would be get yourself on every social networking site possible. Pick a username that's going to get you noticed, even if it's controversial. True or not true. Get yourself a good camera, take some good shots. I'd say keep your personal one and your working one separate. Be a friend to everyone, stay humble, do good work, and be polite.
Okay. Darren Jones, thank you very much for this interview. I appreciate you giving me your time with your busy schedule. We're now off to Barber UK for you to put on your suit and tie and be a representative of the Andis company.
Yeah, well, I do try from time to time. Thanks for coming down, Larry. Appreciate it. You're a nice guy.